Israel Adesanya just weighed in on the possible clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Nurmagomedov Imavov. Imavov recently dismantled a very tough Caio Borralho, but surprisingly, the MMA world wasn't blown away. Many fans felt he didn't show enough to convince them that he's truly a threat to the middleweight crown. Still, the UFC labeled it a #1 contender fight, and naturally the buzz immediately shifted to Imavov being next in line for the champ. Adesanya gave his take, saying Imavov might actually hold the advantage in striking. If he can neutralize Khamzat's wrestling, he could definitely cause problems. Izzy isn't wrong, but here's the reality. When you're facing an elite wrestler, your striking just doesn't look the same. You can't throw with full confidence knowing a takedown could come at any second. We've seen it countless times. Sean O'Malley against Merab, Alex Pereira against Ankalaev, even Conor McGregor versus Khabib. That constant threat changes everything, and it's a factor that can't be ignored. So what do you think, MMA fans? Drop your predictions in the comments. Khamzat versus Imavov. Can Imavov really pull it off? Adesanya doubled down, saying if Imavov can stuff those takedowns, Khamzat's biggest weapon gets neutralized. Of course, Khamzat can strike too, but wrestling is his bread and butter. Once he locks that grip, he drags people down and keeps them there. If Imavov survives that, he's a real threat. But right now, momentum is on Khamzat's side. Still, Imavov is coming in hot as well. Who wins? We'll just have to wait and see. Until then, all eyes are on this matchup.
Versus Imavov, but I'm not going to just cancel out Imavov now because this takedown defense, if he can take away the wrestling from Khamzat, he'll give him problems. That's all you have to do. Khamzat can strike, but I see what I see. But his wrestling is his main weapon, and he commits a lot to the wrestling. Gets the fucking grip, he takes people down, keeps him down. So if Nasruddin can get past that, he'll give Khamzat problems. But right now, Khamzat's on point. He's got the momentum behind him, and so does Imavov. Who's gonna win? We'll see. But till then, allez.
Dana White is facing heavy backlash after a shocking story out of UFC Shanghai put fighter safety into question. Kiefer Crosby, who just fought in China, revealed that after getting brutally knocked out, including eating an illegal knee that only drew a point deduction, he was left to fend for himself. No doctor checked on him, no concussion tests, no brain scans, nothing, just some stitches, and then tossed into a taxi while suffering a major concussion and whiplash. Crosby said he was treated like a dog, and honestly, based on his description, that might be putting it lightly. This isn't the first time fighters have spoken up. Mark Diakise also admitted he felt abandoned after his own overseas fight. Crosby didn't mince words, calling it a senseless massacre, saying anyone could see he was clearly concussed, bleeding, and in no condition to make decisions. Here's the issue. When the UFC hosts shows in countries without formal athletic commissions, they act as their own regulator. They try to follow Nevada's policies, but it doesn't always cover live fighter safety. And clearly, things slipped badly here. Now that the story has blown up, fans are furious, calling out the UFC and Dana White for neglecting fighters' health when going global. Josh Thompson recently dissected Mauricio Ruffy's crushing loss to Benoit Saint-Denis at UFC Paris, and he didn't hold back. The French fighters went a perfect 5-0 that night, while members of the Fighting Nerds camp took 2 losses, Caio Borralho and Mauricio Ruffy. Ruffy's defeat stood out. Saint-Denis didn't just win, he mauled him, dominated on the ground, and forced a tap. There was no question who was in control. Thompson believes Ruffy's downfall was more mental than physical. Instead of fighting his way back up after takedowns, he seemed overwhelmed and mentally checked out. That snowballed into a complete collapse. Big John McCarthy added that it felt like a #1 contender was fighting someone outside the top 25. That's how lopsided it looked. UFC Paris turned into a statement night for Saint-Denis, while Ruffy's loss hurt his camp deeply. This wasn't just a defeat, it was a dismantling. And 2025 hasn't been kind to the Fighting Nerds either, with Jean Silva being the only member without a loss so far. Thompson summed it up perfectly. Saint-Denis came in with the mentality to get back up no matter what, while Ruffy didn't. Once the takedowns came easy, his spirit broke. McCarthy added that Saint-Denis' physicality is deceptive. He's dense, heavy, and once he grabs hold of you, it's suffocating. Ruffy had no answers. If Ruffy wants to bounce back, the first stop should be a serious investment in wrestling.
Exactly. Like the way that I fought Gilbert the first fight was, even if he does take me down, because I thought he was going to try to take me down over and over, I was like, he's not going to be able to hold me down. Even if he does, I'm getting back up. Saint-Denis had that mentality tonight, just like Imavov had that mentality tonight. And Ruffy didn't have that. He had, okay, look, after I lost my first takedown, it was over. I didn't want to be here. It was too difficult to get myself back up. And the second takedown, when it happened so easily, it was gone. Everything was like, I don't want to be in here at all. I can't stop the takedowns. He's strong. You can see that Saint Denis is very dense. Like his body almost feels like when he grabs you and he just hangs on you and holds you, you're like, damn, this is rough.
Strong. He's controlling.
Yeah, very strong, very controlling, very dense body, and Ruffy just had no answer. And so I feel for him. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of abilities. If I'm him, I go back to the drawing board, but I go back to the drawing board in terms of wrestling.
Ilia Topuria is once again stirring up headlines. This time he's putting the UFC in a tough position. Spanish journalist Paco Lagospi, who's very close to Topuria, just reported some serious behind-the-scenes drama. Ilia's been openly frustrated lately, saying he's losing motivation because his dream fights keep falling apart. First, the Islam matchup slipped away. Now the Paddy Pimblett fight is stalling with no direction. He even told the Nelk boys he'd rather vacate his lightweight title than face Arman Tsarukyan. According to Lagospi, those comments set off alarms inside the UFC. Dana White and the matchmakers are frustrated, and Dana especially hates when fighters jump divisions or threaten retirement. But this time, he's reportedly worried Ilia might actually walk away. Behind closed doors, they've even discussed moving him up to welterweight to face the winner of Islam versus JDM. Dana doesn't like making exceptions, but losing a star like Ilia would be worse. Next up, City kickboxing coach Eugene Behrman sat down with Submission Radio and gave some major updates. First, he revealed Israel Adesanya only has a couple of fights left before retirement. Eugene said Izzy wants fun matchups to close out his career, guys like Paulo Costa or maybe even Sean Strickland. Then he spoke about Dan Hooker possibly facing Arman Tsarukyan. Nothing's official yet, but Behrman insists Hooker has the tools to beat Arman and line up a title shot. That would be huge considering how stuck Arman has looked at lightweight. Finally, he backed Aussie star Jack Della Maddalena to beat Islam Makhachev. Eugene said there's already a proven blueprint to trouble Islam. They showed parts of it in Volk's first fight with him. Let's break down his full thoughts. Backing Jack, Eugene explained, "Look, Islam's been knocked out before. Volk has already shown he can be beaten. The key is forcing him to fight at your pace. He's sharp when throwing single shots, but once you push him into exchanges, 2-3 strikes at a time, that's where the cracks appear. Jack can exploit those moments. Of course, Islam's team knows this. They're a smart camp, but that's why it's such an intriguing fight."
Backing Jack, like Jack's, he's one of the boys from our neighborhood, so he's from outside of the world. Look, Islam, there's a blueprint for beating Islam. He's been knocked out before, and Volk's beaten him already. You know what I'm saying? people are going to come in the comments about that. There's a bit of a blueprint out there. Look, if you can, obviously, it's a difficult thing to counter the wrestling, but Islam, you'll find holes. What you have to do with Islam is you have to get him. He's very good at throwing one shot. He can pick you off and throw one shot very well. But you need to put Islam in a position where he has to fight to win the round, and that means he has to put 2 and 3 punches together. His vulnerabilities come when he has to fight with you and put 2 or 3 punches together. That's when the holes start appearing. There's a lot of pressure, and you have to put 2 or 3 punches together to hang with the other person. And that's where Jack will find the vulnerabilities. But they know that, bro. They're a very smart team, and it's a very interesting fight.
And finally, Daniel Cormier recently called out Jack Della Maddalena over a viral meme. Jack reposted a joke suggesting there should be a mute button for DC's commentary. Siding with critics who think he talks too much, DC revealed on his YouTube channel that he texted Jack directly, asking, "Bro, why'd you do that?" According to him, Jack quickly apologized, admitting it was a bad take. This drama comes just weeks before Jack faces Islam Makhachev in the biggest fight of his career. If Jack wins, he cements himself as the welterweight king and sets up fresh matchups against Usman, Brady, or Shavkat. But if Islam wins, he could drop back down to fight Ilia, leaving welterweight in limbo. Fans are calling this one of the most important fights in recent UFC history, not just for who holds the belt, but for the future of 2 divisions. So who do you have? Can Islam capture his second title, or will Jack's size and all-around skills be too much? Let us know in the comments. That's it for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for daily MMA updates.